get into that. Has to keep its State Department workers safe, but the way they're treating their own citizens without some people knowing, I don't think representatives and senators know exactly what's going on with the kind of targeting in the United States of America and around the world. So it's a very, very complicated landscape. Just the whole targeting, the research and development with directed energy weapons. Okay, I'm just going to get through this information, and then I might do some editorializing. I do enough editorializing when I'm not going over information. But this one is from The Guardian, and it's from December 6th. So it's brain abnormalities found in victims of U.S. Embassy attack in Cuba. This is a very important article, and I'm going to work with my neurologist, and tell him, hand him this article, and I want to be tested for some of this, because this is a sign that it was more than sonic weapons, and it can show non-TIs that this kind of damage to the brain would not happen if it was just sound kind of connecting to somebody's head. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. So connect some of the dots here, guys. Mysterious attacks that harmed 24 Americans in Havana resulted in changes to white matter tracts in the brain, doctors say. And I'm going to read a little bit. The article gives a better description of white matter tracts in the brain and what they are. Doctors treating the victims of mysterious invisible attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Cuba have discovered brain abnormalities as they search for clues to explain the damage to their hearing, vision, balance, and memory. The most specific finding to date about physical damage from the attack shows that whatever it was that harmed the Americans, it led to perceptible changes in their brains. It is one of the several factors fueling growing skepticism that some kind of sonic weapon was involved. Now I'm going to go ahead and read that again, because it's very, very important to put two and two together. I know a lot of people who maybe watch me, not targeted individuals, but I know a lot of cynics who are, they're watching me connect, the attacks on the Cuban embassy, the State Department workers, to being targeted by microwaves. They're like, oh, well, that's just somebody trying to kind of make it fit. But let me read that again for you. The most specific finding to date about physical damage from the attacks shows that whatever it was that harmed the Americans, it led to perceptible changes in their brains. It is one of the several factors fueling growing skepticism that some kind of sonic weapon was involved. Medical testing has revealed the embassy workers developed changes to the white matter tracts that let different parts of the brain communicate. I'm getting hit so hard in the chest by my attackers. Hold on. I guess I can see why, getting this information out. I don't understand why they were hitting me during my testimonies about the maybe possible implants, like in my jaw. Give me a second, guys. It's very hot around my chest, and I keep having to do this. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to push through this. I'm pushing through this. Medical testing has revealed that embassy workers developed changes to the white matter tracts that let different parts of the brain communicate, several U.S. officials said, describing a growing consensus held by university and government physicians researching the attacks. White matter acts like information highways between brain cells. Now, this is very, very important, because you hear me, if you're not a target individual, because I know that y'all understand this stuff, but you hear me talking about remote neural manipulation a lot. This is sending frequencies to pathways to the brain, and basically, the torture and the trauma caused by a lot of these microwave attacks, they also clear neural pathways. They mess with the pathways of the brain, and then when they do remote neural manipulation, they're I don't know if they're permanently changing pathways in the brain, but they are messing. They are really, really interfering with functions of the brain, with the visual cortex, with the auditory cortex, with microwave hearing. Microwave hearing is accomplished by heating up brain tissue, and as it cools, it sends a signal down to the nerves in the ear so that you can hear a sound. So this would really, really damage brain tissue, and it would also really, really damage different pathways of the brain. So I'm going to read that again. Medical testing has revealed that embassy workers developed changes to white matter tracts that let different parts of the brain communicate, several U.S. officials said, describing a growing consensus held by university and government physicians researching the attacks. White matter acts like information highways between brain cells. Loud, mysterious sounds followed by hearing loss and ear ringing had led investigators to suspect sonic attacks, but officials are now avoiding that term. The sounds may have been the byproduct of something else that caused the damage. I'm going to read that again. I want to repeat it. Loud, mysterious sounds, followed by hearing loss and ear ringing, had led investigators to suspect sonic attacks, but officials are now avoiding that term. The sounds may have been the byproduct of something else that caused the damage. Maybe microwaves, electromagnetic attacks to the brain, heating up brain tissue, then sending sound, bypassing the first area of the ear to the next set of nerves. It's called microwave hearing. It can cause that high-pitched ringing tinnitus-like sound. It can cause voice to skull. It can make it sound like somebody's hearing voices or sounds or people walking, whatever they want to put go into your ear nerves. Okay, the sounds may have been the byproduct of something else that caused the damage, said 3 U.S. officials briefed on the investigation. Having a lot of trouble breathing. Okay, physicians, FBI investigators, and U.S. intelligence agencies have spent months trying to piece together the puzzle in Havana, where the U.S. says 24 government officials and spouses fell ill, starting last year in homes and later in some hotels. The U.S. refers to specific attacks, but says it does not know who is behind them. A few Canadian embassy staffers also got sick. I'm going to taking off my leather jacket, guys. Give me a second. So I really want to get through this information. It's very important, and I saw maybe one of the most important quotes, and I'll explain what that quote is and give you all the links, but they took the article down. And I'm really wishing that I had done a video on the article right when somebody gave it to me. I had a feeling that I should do it, but I ended up trying to put it off. And the French newspaper that got the quote took it down. But let me get through this information. I'm going to go through that again. Well, no, okay. Well, yeah, let me go through it again. Physicians, FBI investigators, and U.S. intelligence agencies have spent months trying to piece together the puzzle in Havana, where the U.S. says 24 government officials and spouses fell ill, starting last year in homes and later in some hotels. So, you know, they were in their homes, they were being hit by this stuff, they were in the embassy, they were getting hit by this, and then they tried to go to hotels to get away from it, they were being hit there. Piece that together with what TIs give testimony about, trying to get away from it, but it won't go away. So just connect some dots here. A lot of senators and representatives on this committee are going to start connecting dots. So it's a lot of hope for target individuals everywhere in the world. The U.S. refers to specific attacks, but says it does not know who is behind them. A few Canadian embassy staffers also got sick. Doctors still did not know how victims ended up with the white matter changes or how exactly those changes might relate to their symptoms. U.S. officials would not say whether the changes were found in all 24 patients. And I bet you it was. I would just bet all the money I've ever made in my life that they all had those specific changes to white matter, to the white matter paths in their brain. Because they were probably all being remote neural monitored, you know, and maybe remote neural manipulation. If they were having memory loss, just the you know, being, God, I'm having a hard time remembering what word I wanted to use. Just being subjected to microwaves or electromagnetic attacks when they're not targeting your memory specifically, can cause memory loss and cognitive difficulties, but with some of the frequencies that they can send to do remote neural manipulation, they can specifically target short-term memory and cognitive, areas of the brain to mess up cognitive function. Acoustic waves have never been shown to alter the brain's white matter tracks, said Elisa Kanafagu, a biomedical engineering professor at Columbia University who's not involved in the government's investigation. I would be very surprised, Kanafagu said, adding that ultrasound in the brain is used frequently in modern medicine. We never see white matter tract problems. And they do not use microwave or electromagnetic. Well, ultrasound is on the electromagnetic spectrum, but I don't think it would damage the brain like radio frequencies, but microwaves would, because they would it would actually heat up the brain tissue, and does for many target individuals 24 hours a day being used on us. Cuba has denied involvement and calls the Trump administration's claims that U.S. workers were attacked deliberate lies. The new medical details may help the U.S. counter Havana's complaint that Washington has not presented any evidence. The case has plunged the U.S. medical community into uncharted territory. Physicians are treating the symptoms like a never-before-seen illness. After extensive testing and trial therapies, they are developing the first protocols to screen cases and identify the best treatments, even as the FBI investigation struggles to identify culprit, method, and motive. The AP first reported in August that U.S. workers had said they heard sounds that were audible in parts of rooms but inaudible just a few feet away, unlike normal sound which disperses in all directions. Doctors have now come up with a term for such incidents: directional acoustic phenomena. Most patients have fully recovered, some after rehabilitation and other treatment, officials said. Many are back at work. About a quarter had symptoms that persisted for long periods or remain to this day. Some of them are still having those symptoms. They haven't become unhooked from this stuff. And that's I guess that's my editorialization. Some people may just think they're still having symptoms from the attack. I say that some of them, they're still over. Whoever was doing it to them over in Cuba is still hitting them in the United States. Is still targeting them with these directed energy weapon systems. This year, the U.S. said doctors found patients had had concussions known as mild traumatic brain injury, but were uncertain beyond what had happened in their brains. Concussions are often diagnosed based solely on symptoms. As Cuba works to limit damage to its reputation and economy, its government has produced TV specials and an online summit about its own investigation. Cuba's experts have concluded that the U.S. allegations are scientifically impossible, which is, just propaganda and trying to just get it to go away. The Cubans have urged Washington to release information about what it has found. FBI investigators have spent months comparing cases to pinpoint what factors overlap. The U.S. has not identified any specific precautions it believes can mitigate the risk for diplomats in Havana, 3 officials have said, although an attack has not been reported since late August. Since the embassy workers started falling ill last year, the State Department has adopted a new protocol for workers before they go to Cuba that includes blood work and other baseline tests. If they later show symptoms, doctors can retest and compare. Doctors still do not know the long-term medical consequences and expect that epidemiologists who track disease patterns in population will monitor the 24 Americans for life. And that kind of goes into something that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to show y'all a link. Okay, here's the link. But it goes into something. I've heard a lot of target individuals say, "Oh, they're trying to say it's a virus now." They're trying to put out that story that it's a virus now because of the specific physical damage that it's caused to the 24 State Department workers.